Here's my client with her freshly washed hand. Here's my barrel bit with my sanding band on top. You always use a brand new sanding band for each and every client. I'm going to turn my drill on a low speed. Now, this is my client's natural nail. In slow motion, swipe up. So I'm going to go from sidewall to sidewall. But notice I'm not sitting to go to the other end. I'm literally swiping up. So I'm going to swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. Literally in that exact motion. Do not let that drill sit. If you let the drill sit on the natural nail bed, you let it sit on the natural nail bed, you can cause rings of fire, which are those deep lines that you see in some nail beds, and that's from over filing and filing too hard and putting too much pressure. Also, you don't want to damage the nail bed by redirecting the growth as well. So as you see how the drill snags on the side, that's okay. That happens when you're doing, that can happen when you're doing the client as well, but that is okay. All you do is ask the client, hey, sorry that if I hurt you. When shaping a square, all we're gonna do is just file our sides. Just clean it up really good. Square is one of the easiest / hardest because you want to make sure like that you have like the perfect thin square opposed to like one that's super wide, opposed, you know, unless that's what your client wants. Okay, now when filing a coffin, I personally do not like cutting into a coffin, simply because if I cut too much on this side, I'm not going to be able to make that even on this side. So I rather file into my coffin. So make sure that you're holding your file straight, like I stated before. Always keep that file straight in order to get a crisp shape, no matter what shape you're doing. So you see I'm applying pressure to my sidewall, okay? If you do not apply that pressure, you will not get that coffin. And it's literally that simple. And then you just keep filing, you know, just depending on your client. Some people like a more wider coffin or ballerina. File till you like, or you know, till your client is satisfied. File the top again. So focus more with your pressure being pressed in on more like towards your free edge, opposed to down near the side walls. Now, cutting for a stiletto. You can either file into a stiletto, which I don't recommend because that can take forever. When you're cutting into a stiletto, cut a triangle. Literally just cut a triangle. So you see that's not perfect whatsoever, but it's okay because I am going to file into that super sharp stiletto that I'm looking to have. Now you can use you can use scissors or a nail clipper. Whatever you prefer, whatever you have, you can use either or. And like I said before, and I'm gonna always say, keep that valve, keep that valve straight. Keep it straight as you possibly can. You know, depending on your client, if she wants it super sharp or slightly rounded out at the tip, you know, you just ask your client what they want, and you know, they're gonna let you know. Me personally, I love me a killer stiletto. I want to be able to stab you. Okay. Yes, ma'am. To do the lipstick shape, you cut your nail at that angle. This one's pretty easy. Really, that's it. And then you compare, you know, the rest of your tips to each other to make sure they're all even. Just clean that up after you cut it. Okay. So here, this is my brush, this is my monomer, this is my powder, aka polymer. Alright, so I have my brush. I'm gonna dip it completely into my monomer. I'm gonna wipe the back end off lightly. As you see, I dip it and I wipe. I'm not dipping and I'm not trying to literally dry out the brush. I'm literally gonna dip, wipe the back. So you see, this is the side that I wiped. I'm gonna place this side into my powder to make my bead. I'm gonna place it 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna lift up. I tap to get any excess powder off, and I hold it for 5 seconds. After I hold it for 5 seconds, I'm gonna take my bead to my free edge, hold it 1, 2, 3, lift up. Take my brush, wipe both sides, okay? Now as you see, I'm moving my ball in a patting motion. I'm patting. Wipe my brush, dip it back in my liquid, wipe again. I'm patting. So down in this area, I'm trying to make sure that I have that as flat as can be, because when it's time to add my next ball, I want everything to align perfectly. If not, if that's too bulky, it's gonna leave me with a lot of drilling to do, and we wanna make sure this application is as perfect as possible, because there's gonna be less work on us in the end. So as you see, I'm gonna wipe up under to remove that excess. I'm gonna clean it up. Go. Boom. Now I'm gonna repeat the same process. 1, 2, 3. And if I want the bead bigger, I'll hold it in a little longer. Place it right up under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift up, wipe both sides, dip in my monomer, and I'm patting. Pat, 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 pat. The reason why you pat to move is because if you just do that, then just swiping it off, literally that's all you're doing is swiping it off, and it's gonna defeat the purpose. You're just wasting products, honestly. I'm gonna get on my sides. I always look under my nail to make sure that snow acrylic acrylic up under the nail. It's twisting. Okay. I made this ball a little bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so the reason why you want to hold your powder for a little second is because you want it to dry up some. Therefore, you have a little bit more control just in case that bead is too watery, okay? So you see here, you can see where I placed that bead. We're gonna blend all of that in. If you do not blend in, certain things cannot be fouled out, okay? Certain imperfections cannot be fouled out. So something like that, 9 times out of 10, you will not be able to foul it out. And you're just gonna keep repeating. So as you see, especially when I get towards my cuticle area, I'm gonna hold my nail down. So I place the bead right above my cuticle area, okay? Now, I pat. I don't dig, I literally pat around my cuticle area because I don't want that area to be flooded whatsoever. Pat. Now, I'm going to take the tip of my brush and I'm going to clean up all up in that cuticle area, okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to do a side view. So, here. We want to focus slightly here, and that is your apex, okay? So it looks a little flat, and without an apex, okay? Without this, that is no strength to your nails, okay? So it does not have to be super huge because I'm not a fan of a super huge apex. I don't care for how it looks. But no matter what, no matter the length of your nails, no matter the shape, no matter what, you have to have an apex because your nails will break. Now we have an apex. Okay. So how you know if the nail is done and ready for you to foul and no places are still wet, you have to tap it. As long as you can hear tapping all around, that's how you know that it is ready. If you don't hear it, you can feel, honestly, you can feel in here like if it's still soft. Crazy as it sound. Still hear that. And you just wait a little minute and you let it finish drying. So you see here, let's just say some of the client nail still left under the free edge. I mean, the free edge of her nail is hanging out. Or the tip is hanging out. Whichever one it may be. So if this is the free edge of her nail, that means that you applied the tip too small. Now, if this is part of your fouling and you didn't foul that much of the nail tip, then yeah. So whichever one, you know. So like I said, I'm gonna hold that foul super straight. Up in there. Okay. don't be scared to apply that pressure, okay? You want to get all in there because you want that super sharp effect, okay? Boom. Here, I'm about to use my carbide bit, and I put my drill on a medium speed. And I'm just gonna file out any imperfections that I think I may see. It's not really much, but you know, I'm going in and clean that stuff up. Okay, so I'm coming around the client's cuticle area again. We're gonna follow it, and here, this is where you're sealing the cuticles, okay? Sealing them cuticles in, baby. This also prevents lifting. Checked it out. Feel like my sides look good. See a little bit slight. A bit of that tip out. Okay. Like that. And fairly even on that side. Okay. Looks good on both sides. Sides look good. Sides look good. Under the nail, it's clean. Okay. Now, I'm going to buff my client's nail out. Okay. Now here, I will make my client go wash her hands. Okay. So here, I'm gonna apply my donut glaze top coat. Now, some of you may be wondering why I did not use oil when I sent her to wash her hands, but that is because sometimes the oil, the person doesn't wash their hands good enough to get all of it off. It will make your gel pool, so it can make those little air bubbles and whatnot, and we don't want that. So I come in along my side walls, clean those up really good. Coming around my cuticle area, clean, making sure I don't have any missing spots. Then boom. Then I'm gonna slightly wipe those side walls. Then I'll put this inside of my gel light to cure. Then boom, that's the finished look. Here, I'm just showing you how to position your hand and change the lighting on your phone, and how the difference would be if you had flash on and with no flash.